Hi, do you remember 2002? Well, we're not talking about that kind of trash. Fuck. We're talking about the good. Ratchet and Clank. It did so well that it developed its own sequel, and a port to the PlayStation 3, and its own remaster, and a reboot, and a movie. Just enough so Insomniac can suck all the cash out of the game. Alright, so actually, we're going to open this up and take a look at what's actually inside of the game. We haven't opened up the PS2 game in oh, look! Throwback to when we had posters instead of manuals. I thought that was cool. Now we don't even get manuals. And look at this. Memory card. Look at that. Back when we actually needed them. That's neat. It's taking a while, isn't it? Huh? Ratchet & Clank is a PlayStation 2 title that came out in the year 2002 and was developed by Insomniac Games. Less than a year later, the game made greatest hits.
Final step, attach robotic ignition system. Thank you for using help desk technology.
Ratchet & Clank is about an alien known as a Lombax meeting up with a defect robot, teaming up together to defeat an evil ballsack. Now, along the way, they must find Captain Quark, the superhero, to help them defeat Chairman Drek, the evil nutsack. On their journey to find Captain Quark and defeat Chairman Drek, they have to go from planet to planet, doing all sorts of platforming challenges and eliminating any enemies they can find in their path. Now, weapons is what this game is all about. Building your biggest arsenal so you can defeat the biggest boss fights and the biggest enemies. One thing that this game has that other games nowadays do not is weapon balancing. Guns in this game are all useful. You can use every gun in any sort of situation, including the taunter. All of the enemies are a 2 to 3 hit kill, excluding the little tiny enemies. They will be like a 1-hit kill with your wrench, pretty much. But every weapon is good for a certain scenario, whether you need a rocket launcher for a boss fight or a machine gun for a long range. Every single weapon is portrayed well. Nowadays, in recent games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, you always get the same people using the same sort of weapons to defeat enemies. It's either someone's always running with an SMG or an assault rifle or an automatic shotgun. It's always the same no matter what the game is. Back in the day, every single weapon in Ratchet & Clank was useful to defeat a certain type of enemy. This game is riddled with multiple other things to do than just shoot enemies and travel from planet to planet. There is tons of replayability here. When it comes to collecting all the golden bolts or trying to attempt all the skill points, this is one of the games that I think is the greatest. Something I forgot to mention in this game is the music. Now, it is one of the most phenomenal soundtracks I've ever heard in my entire life. We were given one of the most original, funky beat soundtracks to a game you wouldn't even think needed it. Certain tracks just give one of the best feels that any game has ever given to me, ever. Here's some examples. Insomniac Games infamous for hiding secret areas in their games, whether it's Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, or even Spider-Man on the PS4. There's always something to explore after you've beaten the game. Now, Ratchet and Clank isn't a collectathon like most common platformers back in the day, but it does have you collecting golden bolts. They help you get stronger weapons in the future. Now, of course, golden bolts are hidden within some of the most craziest places that you would ever think of. Whether you have to glide to a certain tower over in the distance, or you have to grind rail off the side of a building, or you have to swim against a river's current to get to a weird acid cave in order to kill a bunch of enemies to find a gold bolt? What? But it doesn't matter what you're doing, because no matter what, the game is fun either way. Another bit of replayability is the skill points. Skill points have you doing certain challenges or tasks, whether it's under a certain time limit or shooting down a amount of planes that are flying in the sky. It's a list of challenges that have you do to unlock extra collectibles that you can either view in the extras area at the end of the game, or you can actually physically watch. And the challenges, they range from easy to hard. Some of them goes from standing under a statue and just standing under a like literally all you have to do for the skill point is get on top of the building and stand under a goddamn statue. Why? But there's also the moderate ones as well, like don't touch the ground while you're doing this certain swing shot section. Stuff that's like, oh, I can do that, but it'll take a couple tries. Then there's the god-awful ones. The god-awful challenges. These skill points are actually aids. Transform a tank into a fucking chicken. Defeat a boss using only your single melee attack you get at the beginning of the game. Complete a 2-minute hoverboard race in 1:35 seconds. Do you know how many tries it took for me to get this done in 1:35 seconds? It took me the whole last day. Go. I'm so goddamn tired of this race, bro. I'm so tired of this race, bro.
Chill.
Bro, I don't even care if we're doing a fucking video right now, bro. Yes, the game does have its difficult moments. That leads me down to the difficulty of this game. Now, for someone who's never played a video game in their entire life, I give it the Dark Souls difficulty, mainly because you've never played a game in your entire life. This was the first game I ever played, ever, when I was 4 years old, and I could only get to the 3rd planet. That's 3 out of 18 planets. I had to get to the 3rd planet before I decided to give up on the game because it was too difficult. For someone who has played a video game before, you know how to look around, you know how to run, you know how to jump, you know how to use the action button. I give this game the hard difficulty, mainly because with no lock-on feature or no aim feature at all, some people will take a little while to get around the aiming, to get around basically the weapons and the platforming before they can actually be comfortable with going on to the game and playing the next level and next level. Now, if you've played any 3D platformer or Ratchet and Clank game before, this is the easy difficulty, mainly because you already know your way around the game, so it shouldn't be that hard for you. That pretty much sums up everything I have to say about this game. In all honesty, I think it does hold up to today's standards, at least in platforming wise. I think it deserves a full-fledged remaster after Spyro and Medieval are done. Well, Spyro is done. It came out like a week ago, but pretty much that's all I have to say.
Nope.
So we finished Ratchet and Clank. There's nothing really else I want to say. leave it at some cringy shit like that. Just threw it. Oh my god. Look at it, bro. What the fuck did he do to it? Bro, I'm tired of that race, bro. You know? Oh my god. We're doing this again. I'm back into 2005 days. First we start the memory card. We all remember that. Perfect.